listen the bells? I think no. It's, what time is it? Yeah, it's noon, 12 o'clock, just. Outside we hear the bells of a church near here. Today it's a special day. It's the day of my birthday. We are the 20th of September 2015, and I am born this same day 48 years before, in 1967, the year of the Universal Exposition in Montreal, with a beautiful little village of little house of different countries, many peoples of different countries who went there. So in my soul, I think that it was a very good moment to arrive here in this physical plan or dimension with this beautiful universal exposition here in Montreal, in Quebec, in Canada. Okay, I will record in English today the lesson 23 of this book, but I just want to say some things before. First, I want to thank 40 persons who wish me a good birthday, a happy birthday this morning by email. And I want to say that for me, 48 years old, it's very young. It's like if I was a child, because with all I teach in spirituality, in white tantric sexuality, we can have very big longevity. And me, I think that I will have 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, 300 years. I think that I will be on this plan, on this physical plan, many centuries to co-create with my spiritual friends the beautiful projects that we want to create together. And this big longevity will help to stabilize the projects, because when the founder of a project dies, sometimes the alignment is lost. But when the founder, a man or a woman or a group of people are there, they can keep the spiritual alignment of the project. So I hope I will be able to live what I think I'm prepared to live, and I invite many people to take this spiritual path, this way of love, this way of truth, this way of infinite creativity, with love, with joy, with harmony. And in that we regenerate ourselves continuously, and we stop aging, or aging is more slow. I don't know if it's right in English. So you have all that in my books, in my videos, the spiritual path that I teach, and also what is taught in this book of The Way of Mastery that I record every 2 or 3 days. I want to say also that I want to thank Samael Onwear, the founder of the Gnostic School, where I have studied from 21 to 24 years old, where I have first began to give conferences after I was alone in my way, with the creation of my multidimensional school on the web, with my free books and free videos. But before, to awaken more in my soul, this school has been very important for me. You have the link below this video if you want. It's Everyoneweb.com/Samael, And I have written this morning to David in French, one of my students, of the group of students or the group of spiritual friends that I create to be together 22 teachers. So David is a teacher on his way, and he sometimes he asks me some questions, and in an email that is public on his website, you have also the link below the video for the website of David in French. I answer him to question about Samael, who was a great spiritual man, the founder of the many centers, Gnostic centers around the world. And this man achieved a great level of fusion with his human soul and his divine soul and divine spirit, his real being inside of him. And his level was the level of an archangel, and after more cherubim, seraphim, and he was able to put his body, physical body, in rest, and to go out in his subtle body, astral body, mental body, causal body, psychic body, atomic body, and he was able to travel in the subtle plane of other planets of our solar system. And he explained how he was working on the planet Mars to harmonize the planet Mars, and that the civilization of Mars is now on level more high than the third dimension, and on the third one there is only people of different planets who go there to create physical base, people who have spaceships. You can have some information about that with the testimony of Corey Goody and David Wilcock, who interviews him. I have put that link in English in the section Extraterrestrial Friends on my website, Heaven on Earth. You will have the link also below the video, under the video. So Samael bring us information about the spiritual civilization of Mars, of Venus, of Mercury, of the Sun, because he was able to go there in his spirit body or spiritual bodies, and part of his days were here on planet Earth to create his Gnostic school, and other parts of his days were on these other places where he could go. And in my soul, I remember also some places I have visited in our solar system and in our galaxy before I was in this incarnation. Because when we work spiritually, when we do spiritual things, our soul gain more light, more solar energies, and all that gives us different possibilities. And when we are in love, in truth, in wisdom, and not in many psychological defects that can affect population, when we are a benevolent person, we can have an admission in some spatial spheres or planets where the life is more spiritual. So the spiritual path is so wonderful because it opens our way, or it gives us new possibilities with people more spiritual in other civilizations. So if you want to read the answer that I have written to David in French if you are bilingual, or if you are able to read French, or to copy the text in French and to put it in Google Traduction. I do that me with English. Sometimes I take an English text, I put it on Google Traduction, and I can read it in French. That was some years before. Now I'm able to read it. But for example, the book The Way of Mastery, the 3 first times I have read it, it was with my dictionary, and every moment I found a word in English that I didn't know the meaning, I looked in my dictionary and I wrote the translation of this word in my book. So there is a lot of notes in my book, and many parts with lines to put more clear the parts that I love more. And after these 3 readings with my dictionary, I made the 4th one with no dictionary, only with that and my little notes. And now I am in my 5th reading with this experience in video with you. So when you really like some information, the language is not a real problem. You can use Google translation or dictionaries, and gradually you will learn. You can do that with French, I can do that with English, some people do that with other languages. My daughter, Esani, has a special link with Japan. She loves many things from Japan. And for me, I think her soul has lived different things there in the past. Or maybe she has a guide around her who lives in this country, or who lived in the past in this country. And she tried sometimes to learn with apps on her not iPhone, it's not a phone, it's just I don't remember the name of this electronic device, but she has apps, iPod, yes, iPod. On her iPod, apps to learn Japan language, and also Switzerland, no, not Switzerland, but another place in Europe that she likes. Yeah, I just want to say it's hard with my English, that when we really want to understand something, we can do it with all our tools that we have to translate now. So you have in my French email to David the link with that if you want to read our communications by email. The link is under the video. And the title in French is Gratitude, Samael le Martien. And donations. Because David asked me a question about how to function, how to live our life with donation. Also, if we have some money from government, some help, because he has a handicap and receives money from government because of that. So I explained to him how to be in transparency and to do that. So all this is in my email of this morning to him. Okay. Okay, and the last information, it's a big introduction today. I have finished the writing of my booklet, my last little book, the book 2, in French we say le tome 2. So book 2 of my series, 22 Teachers. how I guide some people around me to teach also, and how we can organize our group to function well together, and to have our communications, our texts or videos completely free on our websites. So if you can read the French, you can, or if you want to read it with your dictionary, you can find this new book, the book 2 of this series, 22 Teachers, on my website, Heaven on Earth, where I put all my free books, or you have that on my little new website about these 22 teachers. I have made an error in my last videos in the address, but the correction was below the video. And the good link for that, for this little group, is, I think, www.lagrandefamille888.wix.com/22 enseignants, teachers. You have the link below the video. Okay, so I am like in vacation today, because this book, since many days I worked in the writing of this book, and it has been finished yesterday in the evening. So today I feel free. I know that I will do many other things and many videos, but for me the end of time of writing a new book is like to be pregnant of a baby and to give this baby to the world. So I'm more like, because I don't have this baby inside of my field of energy, inside of me. You understand? I say that often, that having information inside of us that we want to share to people and to receive new inspirations, divine inspiration. Sometimes it's like being pregnant, and this push, and when the time is there, is ready, the baby can live. So the book can take his life with readers all around the world. Okay, I stop here. Reading is more easy for me than speaking spontaneously, but I like this. Even if I'm not very good in English, it's a practice. I want to practice with humility, with my errors, and I know that with months, with years, I will be better. And I say to people, it's better to do an English video with errors than to do not record any video. I hope you are in the same opinion of me. If not, don't listen, don't watch this. Go to YouTube and watch other videos. Okay, I stop here and I will record the lesson 23. I just want to say that more. In my email to David this morning, I wrote this in some paragraphs the life of Samael, this great spiritual man, and how he obtained many divine capacities, and how he lost that after he regressed, and how he worked hard spiritually after to have that again, to change, and how all that with his inner transformation, his white tantric sexuality with his wife, his Gnostic school, how he lived all the, he climbed the different levels. So sometimes if your hope is not in a good condition, if you contemplate the life of this man, you can have a big hope, because he is a very big example for what any human being can do. Naturally, my first example for me is always Yeshua. For me, it's the biggest teacher. But Samael was also a very important teacher for our planet in many countries. So I invite you to discover him. He's not in truth in everything, as every human being or spiritual beings. He's learning, and when he wrote his book, 75 books, he learned also, and he made some mistakes in some places, but there are a lot of very good informations in his books, and in the groups he formed and were in different places around the world. I cannot be now with one group exclusively, for example, like when I had 21, 22, 23, 24 years old, because in the group we have to teach only what Samael taught. It's like that in groups, because people want to follow the line of the founder. And when we have more spiritual experiences, psychological experiences, sometimes we want to talk about that. And for example, this book that is very important for me and that helps me in different ways. So in this Gnostic group, you cannot teach this book or other books or other you cannot share other spiritual experience who are not in the direct line with what the founder of the group explained. So for me, for my mind, I hope sometimes my Christic mind and all my experiences, it was necessary to teach alone, not alone, but in my way and not in the way of another person. So we can take many tools, many informations, many spiritual practices of different teachers around the world, men or women, but one day we have to do our own synthesis, our own en français, notre propre synthèse personnelle, our own personal synthèse. I don't know the word. Our own personal teaching with all our multidimensional energies, with our emotions, our thoughts, our creativity, our love, our intuitions, our wisdom, divine intelligence, and explain that in our way. In many years we have the help of others teachers, and we can have that also all our life as an inspiration, but we have to decide to teach ourselves by ourselves also. So if you are in the field of a teacher, a man or a woman near you, it's very, very good. But don't stay only in the light of this person. Know that you have also inside of you the capacity to teach, to share, to bring informations to people, and organize your life to be also the teacher that you can be as a friend of this man or this woman that you love and who teach you many things. But in your soul, in your spirit, you have also many drives or forces or capacities to share what is very precious for you to other people. Some persons prefer to teach to adults, others to adolescents, and others to children. For example, me, I am almost always in contact with adults. Others are always in contact with children. So feel what public, what group you like or love the most, and go with them to share with them, to teach them the psychological or spiritual tools that you have in your life, that you like, that you love. And this will help many more people to have that. And in many years we will be thousands and millions of people sharing our knowledge, and this world will lift up, will go in higher dimension with that. Okay, I stop here. Is it a real stop? I have said that 2 or 3 times in this introduction. Okay. Lesson 23, the voice for love. Beloved and holy friends, we come forth to abide with you in this lesson, not from a place apart from where you are, but from that place in which the sonship is joined as one. Where can that be but in the mind of God? Who is God but love? Therefore, in each moment, when any mind surrenders its identification with its illusions, when it surrenders its identification with its own thoughts, with its own needs, with its own perceived desires, and rests into perfect silence, it rests into the voice for love. It learns to ask only of that voice. What would you have me do in this moment? More and more, the voice for love begins to inform the decisions, the thought processes, the vision, the revelation, and in your world, the action or behavior that is expressed through the temporary coalescing of energy into the illusion of a body. Beloved friends, we come forth from that place which is the voice for love. And if any mind can indeed rest into that place, it can only be because that place is necessarily within it. It is the depth of the soul. That depth is not an individual. It's universal, it's eternal, and it's forever present. It knows no boundaries, it knows no time, it simply is love. So, we abide in that place and we speak forth from that place. And if you would well receive it, if at any time when you in your mind are struck by the truth of what is being shared, it's only because you have chosen in that moment to open your own internal access to the voice for love. What is triggered, what is activated or remembered is that part of you that is love itself. That part of the self, the depth of the soul that is forever one with God. The great trick of evolution, if you would permit me to use such a term, is to grow the soul's awareness so that it rests in that depth of silence, and yet does not need to withdraw or turn away from the expression of creation to do so. That is, it need no longer judge the body. It need no longer judge the world that you see around the body. It need no longer strive to ascend to some spiritual height in which all things disappear, but rather, to the contrary, the soul in its maturity has ascended into union with the voice for God. That is, it has ascended into the depth of itself. It has learned to stabilize itself in that internal silence. It has, through time, experienced that process of transformation in which even the conscious mind is no longer thinking for itself, but is informed from the depth of the true self, the depth of the soul, the voice for love, God herself, Christ itself. The decision to become one with the mind of God. Beloved friends, the way of transformation then involves the deliberate decision to allow the translation of perception so that it becomes of one mind, of one accord with the mind of God. It is informed from the depth of the silence and love that sees the body, that sees the world, and that sees each moment only as that which holds the value which the Holy Spirit has placed upon it. What is the Holy Spirit but that part of your own right-mindedness that knows that only love is real? When any mind truly rests in that silence, it knows that it can no longer draw conclusion about what love would do, what love would express through it, or how love would use the particular tools or gift of any seemingly individual self in order to trigger, to nudge, to uplift the shock of any other aspect of the sonship into desiring its own awakening. Just a little commentary. I watched with my daughter. She has a 15 years old and a half, Essani. The series on Netflix, Once Upon a Time, and the characters in that, the persons, are very interesting because the majority of them has a lot of love, but they don't want to bring their love in the same way, and sometimes there is some conflicts, but we can have reflection with many things with this series. And for example, my daughter asked me to watch another series with her. The name is Sense8, with people who have the sensibility to feel the life of others on earth, and they can transfer their capacities, their mind, to help them, each other. And at the beginning it's surprising for them when they discover that. So the central theme is interesting, but the characteristic of the persons are not with so many love. They do some things with love and others out of love. And I said to my daughter before yesterday, I think I don't like this series like you. The idea is interesting, but the personalities of the people in this series are not with a lot of love, and so this cannot attract me the same way. So when you are in research of how you can receive more and more God's love, God's truth, God's creativity, you try to find in television, in movies, in books, characters or people who express this love in their way. Now, if you pay close attention to what was just said, the implication is perfectly clear. Reality is one and unshakable, and only love is real. Yet the dream should never be denied, for denial creates separation. Only embracing can allow healing, the healing that love brings. As you well know, there are indeed many minds that are still afflicted, still harboring the decision to believe that the dream of separation is real. When any mind within the sonship chooses to awaken and heal its own illusions, love begins to inform that mind more and more and more, so that its expressions serve the voice for love. The voice for love has only one purpose: to be extended into the dream, into the illusion, to nudge the aspects of the sonship, yet sleeping, so that the entirety of the sonship can be returned or reawakened to the reality of itself as the creative conduit through which God extends herself or himself. When any mind truly awakens, it no longer sees specialness in the world at all. Each moment is merely surrendered into what I once called the will of my father, or the will of my mother. What is that will? The impetus of love. How can love operate so that it brings awakening to the minds involved? That is indeed a purely creative process, and is the only true value time can have. The awakened mind has no idea, one day to the next, what love will ask it to do, and how love is to be expressed through it. The awakened mind knows that it is not the maker or the doer, and merely asks in every moment, "What would you have me do?" The more that practice is developed, the more that the mind is refined and purified. It becomes almost a spontaneous or second nature kind of thing, in which the mind is so closely aligned with the will of God that the subtle nudges flowing forth from the depth of the self, from the depth of love itself, steers through the conscious mind and meets no obstruction born of fear. For where fear has been devalued, love springs forth. Each and every one of you that has chosen to read these lessons has already made the decision to become that one, ever more deeply and ever more deeply. Make no mistake about it, the decision has already been made, and therefore the end is perfectly certain. When that mind that has made the decision to allow its transformation embraces the simplicity of its lived experience, it looks as though it is very ordinary. While the body lasts, you do the things that all bodies and minds do in your dimension and world. You perhaps find the body shivering against the winter cold or sweating in the summer sun. Yet, in the midst of the context of the experiences of your life, what is informing the mind is not the egoic desires of how can I get more, how can I avoid a certain experience or feeling, how can I make myself comfortable, how can I get others' approval, how can I be acknowledged as a great master. None of that runs the awakened mind. Each context is surrendered within the mind itself over into the will of love, and that mind, through the personality, through the body structure, while the body lasts, becomes a conduit that serves the voice for love. That one may not be understood, that one may not be approved of, and that one may not be acknowledged by the world. Yet, rest assured, those who seek to be approved of and acknowledged by the world have their reward. And what reward is it to be acknowledged by the insane, dwelling in illusion? Can an illusion truly acknowledge the worthiness of the Son of God or of the daughter of God? Once again, each and every one of you is in an inevitable journey now. You too shall have your reward, for there are those of us who know you and love you, and your acknowledgement comes not even from us, though perhaps through us, but it comes from that one that has birthed you to extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful. The release of all illusion. The way of transformation, then, is not the gaining of power. It is the release of all illusion. It is the willingness to release the grip that you have had upon the shadows that your mind has made up as a substitute for the truth of your only reality. The process of the way of transformation is that process in which you begin to use the mind quite deliberately in a different way. To some of you who have studied my course in miracles, that too is an expression or form of the way of transformation, since all transformation inevitably requires correction of how the mind is used, so that what the mind sees is different than the ego's world. When the mind is corrected, the use of the body that most serves love also naturally follows. The use of what you have created in error, which is the body, the personality structures, the emotional matrix, and the beliefs, all of that makes up what you call yourself. All of these things are given over to be used differently. Therefore, the deeper you come to understand, to know, and to feel the depth of the self that you have constructed in your attempt to conform to an insane world, the greater the space there is for you to be informed by love. Not that the body disappears, not that the personality structures disappear, but rather they become transparent. The value you have given them has been withdrawn, and they are given over to be used in a different way. To use a simple example, a painter begins to paint devotional paintings out of her love and acceptance of grace, or a speaker is brought into alignment with love, and that love creates context in which what is spoken differently, with a different purpose and a different intent, and therefore to a much different audience. Or one who works with the hands in the fields begins to work for a different purpose, begins to be informed in ways to use the skills and gifts that one has developed, perhaps to feel the hungry, the needy. The forms of expression change to be more conformed with which voice is running the show. When the ego was running the show, or thought that it was, the personality, the emotion, and the body were used to serve the very survival of the ego. When the ego has been displaced and the voice of love has been returned to the place of authority, careers can change, for the very meaning and purpose of existence has changed. In the initial stages, as this process is occurring, this can elicit fear, a sense of disorientation, or a sense of self-doubt. All of these things must be embraced with faith, which is indeed the substance of things unseen. Love is not quite settled and perfectly yet, and the mind is still gripping somewhat the things and the ways of the world. And yet, a deeper voice is compelling the self to release old values, to release old careers, old relationships, old clothing, and old furniture. Everything begins to change. and it feels as though loss is being experienced. Yet, what is lost in the world is gained in the kingdom. For what can be gained but the reawakening to the simplicity of the truth? I am God's. I belong not to the world. I and my Father are one. Or I and my mother are one. I still find myself in this world. How can I dedicate this body and its attendant personality and emotions to the voice for love? And that becomes the sole purpose, but the soul as only, and the soul as the essence of your being. The soul/soul, SOLE/SOUL, purpose becomes the willingness to allow love to inform each moment. It is quite true that such a one, born of love, can be very misunderstood by the world. Such a one, I once said, is one born like the wind. You do not know where they have been, you do not know where they are going, and neither do they. But they are present where they are, constantly dedicated to being merely a servant of or a conduit of the voice for love, recognizing that time and the world no longer hold any function, value, or purpose save that which the Holy Spirit would give it. And the only value the Holy Spirit gives the world is to see it as a context through which the sonship can be healed and awakened. The way of transformation does indeed require commitment, a deliberate choice. This can be the value by the way of initiatory experiences, and not too far in the distant future we will be helping to inform Shanti Cristo, so that initiatory experiences are offered and provided. The value of this is that it makes conscious and public what the soul is desiring and calls the conscious mind to step into a deeper self-discipline, a deeper self-commitment, a deeper self-maturity. Beloved friends, this is not something ever to enter into a lazy way. We would highly suggest that as you go through the mind, ask yourself, are there any of the lessons that I read with only half my focus, with part of my attention on trying to get dinner ready, or getting my taxes paid, or getting to the office? If there is any such lesson that you have not brought the wholeness of your being to, in a state of openness and surrender, go back and read it again. You will discover that there is much that has been missed. Each exercise has been carefully chosen. Each exercise offers you an immediate way to begin to transform certain aspects of your own mind. Therefore, each moment should be treasured. Please hear this. As the mind, the conscious mind, begins to become more informed by the voice for love, vigilance and discipline become even more necessary, simply because you are dealing with more power, more true power. The purpose of your very being takes on a far different flavor. You begin to realize that wherever you are, there is a precious moment that offers an opportunity for healing, for love, for awakening. And it is not to be missed. Each moment of your existence in this plane of density is not to be missed. Once, when I was reaching out to this beloved brother at 3 o'clock in the morning, he proclaimed to me, "Could you please come a little later in the morning? I would like to get some sleep." My answer to him is what I will give to you now. Have you not been sleeping long enough? While you use time constructively to realize that where you are is not in the world at all, but in a context made new by your desire to awaken, which invited the Holy Spirit to take over the show, so to speak. Wherever you find yourself is not an ordinary moment any longer. Though you seem to walk in the world, though you seem to deal with the things of the world, which you must do as long as the body lasts, you no longer belong to the world. Another voice has touched you. Though your neighbors and friends, perhaps even your children, your spouse, or your parents cannot possibly yet see who walks among them, you are a disciple of Christ. And Christ is the Father's only creation, or the mother's only creation, created in love as love to extend love. Christ is the divine child. The cosmic Christ is this innocent child created by the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, and it's the origin of ourself. Each of us has a direct link with this child. We are this child in our pure nature. You are in the most important journey anyone can ever take. You are in the most important journey that anyone can ever take, a journey without distance to a goal that has never changed, even into a place that is unchangeable forever. You have undertaken the journey from illusion to reality, from fear to love, from false power through manipulation, through image, through conforming to the world, to true power, resting in the mind of Christ, being a conduit for that which awakens the sonship. Every function is equal to those that have chosen such discipleship. Understand then that wherever you are right now, as you read these words, or as you listen these words, wherever you are right now, you are in the perfect place at the perfect moment. Therefore, indeed, bless the moment as you find it, for it serves two purposes. One, it is that perfect context for your awakening from illusion. And at the very same moment, it is offering you the opportunity to cultivate your skill at being a conduit for the voice, for love. These two sides of one coin exist fully in the presence of each of your ordinary moments. Rest assured as you come to trust the voice for love, as one born of the Spirit, as one who lives as the wind. If it is time for you to release certain forms, career, relationship, clothing, furniture, what have you, you will know it in an instant. You simply know, for revelation is knowledge. Knowledge is immediate. It is not translated through a whole lot of thinking in the mind. That is why we choose to say that it is through the heart that one knows the immediate will of love. As you practice letting go of that which you once valued, you will discover that it gets easier and easier. With each experience of letting go, you find yourself carried in ways that you could never comprehend or create yourself into new formats, new contexts in which your own wisdom awakens even deeper. The opportunity to be of service expands and grows, as though you stepped from a small room in a house into a large ballroom and realized, this is much better than where I was before. It's not that you have failed when something ends, for in truth, you cannot fail. In truth, there are no endings except in illusions. In the lessons that follow, we will speak much about the importance and distinction of content and form. We will look at those two sides of the coin and help to illuminate your mind and understanding that it is content that always matters and the form is secondary. Just a little comment. Yes, I know that because in many of my website it's very artisanal. It's not a very beautiful outside form. I don't find time to put more energy in the form. I feel that the message is really important, and I receive continuously new informations that I want, or that I feel that I have to share with you. So, for example, yesterday evening I have finished my book 2 of my series 22 Teachers, and after I watched the PDF and I have seen some little mistakes in French because sometimes I wrote rapidly. I have read 2 times these books, but there is always some little mistakes that I don't see, and I see it after, and I don't have time to do another PDF, another PDF, another PDF, and to change that also in my website. So I do the best with 1-2 corrections. Maybe one day I will have a team with me, but now I'm alone to do all that. And when the message is there with the form that is acceptable, I put that on the web. And I know that it's not perfect, but it's more important for me to give to people other new informations than to take more and more time only in one video or only in one text, and with that you don't have time for the transmission of other information. So with me, you have to be very tolerant with the external form of my works and to take the inner message that is there. Okay? I hope you understand. Form is what is birthed in time, and what is birthed in time ends in time. Even the body had a beginning and will therefore have an end. Yet, when it is given over to the voice for love, its purpose becomes timeless, endless, for it begins to express only content. Make a decision to view time differently. In this lesson, the theme that we wish to bring unto you is this: make a decision right now to view time differently. Put on the eyes of the Holy Spirit right where you are right now. Do not just read what is said, but actually decide to do it. Look around the place you find yourself in. Look at the body if you are with others. At this time, notice them. Notice all things. You are not in the world at all. You are a disciple of Christ. You have chosen by grace to awaken from illusion and to cultivate yourself with support and help into being even more a mature soul that radiates the light and love of Christ, even while in time. Time, then, must be seized and seen to be of great value, and that each and every moment is not a mistake. There is nothing idle about it. You are the one who is free to use that moment to be informed by the voice for love, to learn ever more deeply, to surrender the value of fear, safety, personal survival, and all of the rest, and to dissolve through faith into the voice for love. From this moment, decide to see time differently, to seize the opportunity to train the mind to be vigilant and aware. There is much occurring that may yet seem unseen to you, too subtle to grasp. You call it being unaware. The journey from unawareness to awareness begins with the decision to walk through each moment of the day, knowing the truth of who you are, and to embrace the purpose and reason for your being, and then to ask the Holy Spirit to make all things known and clear in alignment with the voice for love. The body becomes something that you no longer possess. The thoughts that you hold become meaningless. The context of every moment is given over to something new. The decision to see time differently leads you into the cultivation of a way of being that is different and new. Eventually, it will move from a mere intellectual idea into something known in the depth of the soul and expressed through every pore